Alright matey, if you clicked on this video, then it's probably because you've just finished your GCSEs and you now lack any sort of reason to live. You probably just wake up and do nothing all day. So fair play to you, but if you want to make the most of this summer whilst also not being a complete waste of space and sitting around doing nothing, then I've got a few ideas of things you can do that will hopefully prepare you not only for year 12, but beyond. So sit back, put your feet up and enjoy. Hopefully you did some revision for your GCSEs, so there shouldn't be much need to consolidate just yet, but as the summer goes on, you might want to just kind of go over some of the content you struggle with slightly more for your chosen A-levels, so that you're not going in and already playing catch up on week one. That's really not ideal. So currently no need to consolidate, but in the future get ready to. I think for now it makes a lot of sense is to try and do some resource gathering and preparation. Now what that might look like for you is just some conversations with some people who have just finished their A-levels. People always have resources that they didn't use. Maybe they have books that they bought but didn't write in. Maybe they have websites that they thought aren't getting enough traction and they can recommend to you. Whatever it is, I think get in touch with some people who have finished year 13. After all, they're the ones who've actually gone through with the crap that you're gonna have to go to, unfortunately. You can maybe have a look on eBay or some cheaper sites where you can find some secondhand books, revision guides, that sort of stuff, if that's what you find useful for revision. The levers are always very good starting places because after all, as crusty as they may be, they're the ones who've actually gone through the hellhole that is A-levels. So do get in touch with anyone older that you do know and see any advice that they've got and any books or resources that they could recommend to you for your chosen A-level. This video is as much about advising what to do as it is what not to do. So I think one of the things that some people started to do over the summer that there's really no need to do would being really hasty and start taking notes. Like you've got a whole 2 years to do that. There's really no need to try and do a week's worth of classroom content in the name of getting ahead. It's just quite pointless. You're far better off kind of going through the other stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video rather than just kind of going through the notes. I mean, that's kind of what the classroom's for. That's why you're meant to be learning. So if I were you, I wouldn't bother doing that. I did make a point of having a look forward at some of the topics that would come up and try and organise it on my Notion. Back in year 12 and 13, I was a bit of a Notion warrior, admittedly. And so I kind of had a look at the specification of the A-levels I was doing and I kind of organised my database so I had different pages for different topics in the specification so that there was as little friction as possible. So as soon as I started my A-levels, when I started topic 1, I could put my notes straight into that page and get started straight away. In fact, there's no excuse to even procrastinate and to say, oh, I need to do these pages so that I can actually start doing my notes. Like, no. As soon as I started doing notes, I could put them straight in the Notion database. Having a look through the specification as well also kind of gave me the opportunity to get a heads up about what was going to come up on the course. It's very easy to get a bit blindsided by some stuff, especially when the first few weeks feel very easy because there's kind of a lot of recap. If you don't have the foresight to see what's coming after that, it can be a bit of a kick in the teeth quite promptly. If you're a little neat like me, then the specification does offer the opportunity to just kind of have a look forward and have maybe a slightly more in-depth look at some topics. If you want to kind of get a bit of a head start, or if you want to look at something that you think, oh, I'm not entirely too sure on what that even is at all, maybe have a little read around the subject. No need to go crazy and write essays and whatnot, but a little read has never hurt anyone. It's probably also just a good tester for when you actually do start. You know, some people swear by reading ahead and some people swear by just learning it when they get to the class. So by having a little read of stuff that's to come, then maybe in the first half term you can say, actually it works really well for me when I read and am prepared for what teachers can tell me. While for others, you might feel, oh, actually, I don't feel there was any benefit from reading ahead on that at all. And so then you can kind of use this summer as your first kind of guinea pig for the year to come and work out what does work for you in the class and what doesn't. Now you finish your GCSEs, you can move on from them, whether they went well, whether they went badly. Either way, you can say, actually, I think I did really well when I used this sort of revision method, and I did terribly with this sort of revision method. Right, now some more sort of juicy kind of stuff. We're going to talk about kind of preparation for uni, which feels a long time away because you've only just finished GCSEs, so it's like, whoa, everyone chill out. And yeah, I mean, there's no need to go crazy, as I've said 1,000 times already. But I think it's a good time to kind of get ahead. While I'm saying not to bother getting ahead on the A-level course, I do think that uni application and applying for further education beyond school is a good time to start considering now, because I remember from my experience of A-levels that it all happened very quickly and there was a million stuff going on at once to the point where it felt like it was very difficult to manage at times. But if you can kind of just do a few things now, tick a few things off, then maybe you'll be in a far better place. So one thing is thinking about what you would have otherwise done in the Year 12 summer. Well, for most people, Year 12 summer is a great opportunity to get work experience. But if you're someone who wants to go for a load of leadership roles, or you want to get involved loads in the sixth form, then it's probably not a great idea to do it all in one summer of Year 12. What I think would be a great idea if I were to go back and do sixth form again, I would want to have my Year 11 summer as a great opportunity to start making contacts and connections. Start reaching out to different places, see if you can get any work experience at all. Just put your name out there, put a feeler out, see if someone would say, oh, I will have you in the future, but not just now, I'll wait another year until you're 17. Either way, if you can start making these sort of connections and start reaching out immediately, then it means you're going to be set up in the future when it starts getting really hectic and you're going to struggle to find time to do anything but work. Equally, if you don't need to get any work experience or you don't want to, then you'll be fully aware of how competitive applications are, particularly if you're someone from the UK. If that's the case, then finding any sort of edge is going to be beneficial. So whether that means you volunteer once a week at the local charity, I think that's so worth doing. Just getting something down that will help you stand out slightly more than the next person. Something else that I think goes slightly under the radar actually with the Year 11 break is some of the more just professional stuff that you probably never sorted out that's probably worth just doing. Something like a CV. I hadn't updated mine in so long to the point where it just looks so washed. It's just absolutely rubbish if you're just handing it out. But you've now got enough time to either build enough experience and stuff to put on your CV, or literally one afternoon to set aside where you just update your CV. A CV is just so useful when you're going to get some work experience or a job or whatever it is. It's something you just absolutely need, and it's so mundane of a task that usually people don't do it until it's absolutely necessary. But now you've got 12 weeks sitting around like bread, you might as well just get some of that done. Equally, it could be a time to kind of sort out some of the information. You know, you're gonna have to put your email and your phone down. So if your email address is like 69 Enderman Slayer, then maybe it's time to sort that out and change something slightly more professional. If you want to be a bit of a wetty or a Pinterest merchant, fair play, we've all been there, then maybe it's quite a good time to romanticise your life and get some plans down for the next 2 years. When you're going 100 miles per hour all times, it's very easy to lose the forest from the trees. And so if you kind of get some goals down of what you want to achieve over the next 2 years, it can be easier at times to kind of have a look at those tangible goals and see where you are at doing them. Maybe you have some long term, you say, I want to get these grades in my A-levels. Maybe you say, I want to get these many offers from uni. Maybe you say, I want to get this grade in piano. But if you actually take some time now to kind of work out really what you want from life, this is your first stage in a while where you've been able to stop, reflect, and it's quite a big turning point. These are quite formative years you're coming into. I mean, GCSEs are already very formative. I mean, I'm in very formative times myself, but A-levels I think are really a time when you move from being a pupil to a student. And that shift I think is quite significant. It means you're getting more independence and more time to do what you want. And it's important that you don't waste that time that you're given and spend it on very positive things. Having a little plan of what you want to achieve both in and outside of the classroom could be quite useful for some of you. On a side note, if you wanted to start a side hustle or a hobby or a language learning course or whatever, then now is the best time. We create these mental barriers so easily as to why we can't do them, but now you've got 12 weeks and most of you are probably just jobless. So there's absolutely no reason why you can't put in an hour a day to learn Italian or to start a YouTube channel or to start releasing some music you've been making. But whatever it is, don't just kill these 12 weeks off by doing nothing. You're better off actually putting some time in something you enjoy and being somewhat productive with it. One of the hardest things that people find when they're trying to create these new things is that they struggle to get into a routine with it. But the beautiful thing right now is that you have no routine at all. You can make a routine and build it around this new thing that you're trying to do. Either way, I think having something like this can provide a bit of a backbone for your 12 weeks off and make sure you don't completely kill that time. Well done again on completing your GCSEs, but the hard work is only just beginning. You do deserve a break, you've been working very hard, so put your feet up, but now is not the time to rest on one's laurels. Make sure you do something with your time, something to keep you occupied here and something to get you ready for your academia in the next year over there. Do a few bits and bobs to keep you occupied so you don't completely waste your time. Otherwise it's very easy to look back and realise you just killed 12 weeks. In the meantime, here's some content for you to enjoy from the channel. Otherwise, enjoy your summer.